The changes in the generations that lived during the last century are also reflected in their music. From the silence to the millennials, different musical genres and artists have arisen, defining each generation with a specific culture.
The silent generation, the war generation. They grew up in conditions complicated by the war and economic downturn. In the 20s, jazz, blues, and the big bands dominated music, an optimistic World War I output. But after it, for 10 years, during 1929 to 1939, the world suffered the economic crisis known as the Great Depression. Some music, like blues and countries, reflected the hardship of the times, while other music, like big band and swing, kept an upbeat feeling in the air. The last two were an escape from the seriousness of World War II and the times.
From the late 40s to the early 60s, the baby boomers lived a post-World War II optimism, and with it, the birth of rock and roll, R&B, and traditional pop. The king of rock and roll was born, Elvis Presley. But also, this generation witnessed and participated in some of the greatest social changes in the world's history during the 1960s, reflected in their music. Black soul movement with the Motowns, oldies and upbeat and idealistic kind of music, rock and roll, and the British invasion with the Beatles.
Generation X. Born between 1965 and 1980, Gen Xers grew up in an era of emerging technology and political and institutional incompetence. The 1970s served as the bridge between the seriousness of the music that came out of the late 60s and the excessiveness from the 80s. The disco era focused more about the music and dancing than lyrics or making a statement. Common examples are the Bee Gees, ABBA, and popular movies like Grease and Saturday Night Fever. Also, rock and roll fragmented, with emerging bands such as Rolling Stones, AC/DC, and Kiss.
Millennials, born between 1980 and the 2000s, have grown up in an era of technology. They have always known cable television, cell phones, laptops, and video games. During this time, all musical barriers were broken, and music television arose, MTV. So a diversity of genres were popular, from the typical genres to the new ones, like rap with Eminem, bubblegum pop with the Spice Girls and Britney Spears, and boy bands with the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. The millennials had a wide range to choose from.
As far as we know, there's only one question left.